This is the story of how a death sentence became my greatest blessing. My name is Sarah, and 3 years ago, my doctor told me I had 6 months to live. Not because I was sick with some rare disease, not because I had cancer or a terminal illness that had crept up on me silently in the night. No. I was told I had 6 months to live because my weight had become so severe that my body was literally shutting down. My organs were failing, my heart was struggling to pump blood through my body, and my spirit was broken into a million pieces. And what happened next? Well, it changed everything. Not just for me, but for everyone around me, including the doctor who gave me that devastating diagnosis that day. But before I tell you what I did, I need to take you back to where it all started. Because this isn't just a weight loss story. This is a story about survival, about redemption, about proving that sometimes the darkest moment of your life is actually the beginning of your greatest transformation. It's about finding strength when you thought you had none left, and about reclaiming a life that you had slowly, almost imperceptibly, given away to your circumstances and your fears. It's about discovering that you are so much more powerful than you ever imagined. I grew up in a loving family in the suburbs of Ohio. My parents were supportive and caring. My childhood was, for the most part, normal and filled with happy memories of backyard barbecues and family vacations. But somewhere along the way, during my teenage years when everything changed, I developed a complicated relationship with food that would haunt me for decades. It started small, like it always does for so many of us. Comfort eating after a bad day at school when I felt rejected by my peers. Stress eating during college exams when I felt overwhelmed and anxious about my future. Food became my best friend, my solace, my escape from the harsh realities of the world and the pain of growing up. It was always there, always comforting, always non-judgmental and unconditional. Unlike friends who came and went, food never let me down, or so I thought at the time. By the time I hit my mid-20s, my weight was already a significant issue that I could no longer ignore or hide from myself. I weighed over 300 pounds and my health was deteriorating rapidly. I tried every diet under the sun, every fad that promised quick results and easy solutions. Atkins, keto, Weight Watchers, juice cleanses, intermittent fasting, and countless others that I can't even remember anymore. You name it. I tried it with hope and determination. Each time I'd lose a little weight, feel a flicker of hope and excitement about my future, and then inevitably, I'd gain it all back, plus a little extra for good measure. The cycle was exhausting, demoralizing, and it chipped away at my self-esteem until there was almost nothing left of the confident girl I used to be. Each failure reinforced the belief that I was simply incapable of change, that I was destined to be this way forever, trapped in this body that felt like a prison with no escape route. My physical health began to deteriorate rapidly during those years of weight gain and neglect. Simple tasks became monumental efforts that left me exhausted and breathless. Walking up a flight of stairs left me gasping for air and drenched in sweat. Tying my shoes was an Olympic event that required me to sit down and catch my breath for several minutes. I avoided social gatherings, not because I didn't want to see people or connect with them, but because the thought of finding an outfit that fit my expanding body or enduring the stares and whispers from others was too much to bear. I lived in oversized t-shirts and sweatpants, hiding my body, and in doing so, hiding myself from the world. My world shrank to the confines of my apartment, my job, and the occasional trip to the grocery store, always at odd hours to avoid crowds and judgment from strangers. My job, thankfully, was remote, which allowed me to maintain a semblance of normalcy without having to face the daily judgment of colleagues in an office setting. But even that was a double-edged sword that cut both ways. The isolation only deepened my reliance on food for comfort and emotional regulation. My days blurred into a monotonous routine of work, eating, and sleep, punctuated by moments of profound sadness and self-loathing. I would sit at my desk, staring at the computer screen, feeling utterly empty and hopeless. I knew I was in trouble, but I felt utterly powerless to stop it. The thought of change was overwhelming, a mountain too steep to climb with no guide or support system in place. Then came the health scares that finally opened my eyes to reality. First, it was the constant fatigue, a bone-deep weariness that no amount of sleep could cure. I would sleep for 12 hours and wake up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. My body felt heavy, like I was moving through water. Then, the joint pain became unbearable. Every step a sharp reminder of the burden my body carried. My knees ached constantly. My back screamed in protest whenever I tried to move, and my ankles felt like they might give out at any moment. I couldn't walk more than a few blocks without severe pain shooting through my legs. My blood pressure was through the roof, dangerously high readings that scared me. My cholesterol levels were alarming, off the charts in the wrong direction, and I was pre-diabetic, my blood sugar levels spiking and crashing throughout the day. My primary care physician had been gently, then not so gently, urging me to make changes for years. She would look at me with a mixture of concern and frustration, knowing that I was on a path to serious illness, but I always had an excuse, always a reason why now wasn't the right time. I was in denial, clinging to the false comfort of my habits, even as they slowly strangled the life out of me like a python squeezing its prey. I told myself that I would start tomorrow, that next Monday would be different, that after the holidays I would finally make a change. But tomorrow never came, and the holidays kept coming, and I kept making the same excuses over and over again. The day I received the diagnosis is etched into my memory with a clarity that still sends shivers down my spine. I had been experiencing severe chest pains for a few days, dismissing them them as indigestion or anxiety or something that would pass on its own. But when the pain became so intense that I couldn't breathe, when I felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest, when I thought I was having a heart attack, my neighbor, bless her heart, insisted on taking me to the emergency room immediately. After a battery of tests and scans, after hours of waiting and worrying, I was referred to a specialist, a cardiologist named Dr. James Evans, who had a reputation for being brilliant but brutally honest about his patients' conditions. I sat in his office, a sterile, cold room that seemed to amplify my anxiety with every passing second. The walls were bare, the furniture was minimal, and the silence was deafening. Dr. Evans was a man in his late 50s with kind eyes but a stern demeanor that commanded respect and attention. He looked at my charts carefully, reviewing each test result, then at me, his expression unreadable and serious. He spoke calmly, but his words hit me like a physical blow that knocked the wind out of me. "Sarah," he began, his voice grave and measured, "your heart is under immense strain from carrying all this extra weight. Your liver is showing signs of severe fatty infiltration, which means fat is building up inside the organ itself. Your kidneys are struggling to function properly, working overtime to filter toxins from your blood. Your blood sugar is dangerously high, and your blood pressure is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode at any moment. At your current weight and with these health markers, I'm afraid to tell you that you have, at best, 6 months to live." 6 months. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating, like a noose around my neck. 6 months. My mind reeled with the implications of what he was saying. It wasn't a question of if anymore, but when. I wasn't just unhealthy, I was dying. And it was entirely self-inflicted, entirely my own doing through years of poor choices. The shame, the regret, the terror, all washed over me in a tidal wave of emotion that nearly drowned me. I remember nodding numbly, tears streaming down my face, unable to speak or process what I was hearing. Dr. Evans continued, explaining the grim prognosis, the potential complications, the irreversible damage already done to my body. He talked about organ failure, about heart attacks, about strokes, about the pain I would experience as my body shut down. He offered a glimmer of hope, a desperate, last-ditch effort to motivate me. "If you make drastic, immediate changes, there's a slim chance you could extend that timeline. But it will require a complete overhaul of your life, Sarah. And I mean complete. No half measures, no excuses, no more pretending that tomorrow will be different. You need to start today, right now. This very moment. I cannot stress to you enough how urgent this is. Every day that passes is another day your body is deteriorating. Every meal you eat will either be a step towards recovery or a step towards the grave." I left his office in a daze, moving like a zombie through the world. The world outside seemed too bright, too loud, too vibrant for someone who had just been handed a death sentence. I walked home slowly, every step feeling like a march towards an inevitable end. For days, I wallowed in despair and self-pity. I cried until my eyes were swollen shut. I ate everything in sight, a final, desperate act of self-sabotage, as if to prove Dr. Evans right, as if to speed up the process. What was the point of trying if it was already too late? What was the point of fighting a battle I had already lost? My apartment became a tomb, and I became a ghost wandering through it. But then, something shifted deep within me. It wasn't a sudden epiphany or a moment of divine inspiration, more like a slow, agonizing dawn breaking over a dark landscape. One morning, I woke up, looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time in years, I didn't see a monster. I saw a scared, broken woman, yes, but also a flicker of defiance in her eyes. 6 months. Was that truly all I had left, or was it a challenge? A final, desperate chance to fight for my life? The thought of giving up, of simply accepting my fate, suddenly felt more terrifying than the prospect of trying and failing. I had nothing left to lose, but everything to gain. Even if it was just a few more months, I wanted them to be months lived with purpose, not despair. That day marked the turning point in my life. I called Dr. Evans' office and scheduled another appointment, not for a follow-up on my impending demise, but to ask for help. Real help. Genuine support. I told him I was ready to fight, that I was willing to do whatever it took. He looked at me with a mixture of surprise and cautious optimism. He laid out a rigorous plan, a strict, medically supervised diet with specific macronutrient ratios and calorie limits, a gradual exercise regimen that would build over time, and mandatory therapy to address the underlying emotional issues that had fueled my eating disorder for so many years. It was daunting, overwhelming, but for the first time in years, I felt a spark of hope ignite within me. The first few weeks were hell. My body rebelled against the sudden deprivation of comfort foods that I had relied on for so long. I experienced intense cravings, debilitating headaches, overwhelming fatigue, and irritability that made me difficult to be around. Every fiber of my being screamed for the familiar solace of a sugary treat or a greasy meal. But this time, something was fundamentally different. This time, the fear of dying was stronger than the craving. I remembered Dr. Evans' words, the look on his face, the cold reality of my prognosis. I started with small, achievable goals rather than trying to overhaul everything at once. Instead of trying to run a marathon, I aimed for a 5-minute walk around the block, then 10, then 15, then 20. Each small victory fueled my resolve and gave me confidence. I learned to cook healthy meals, experimenting with new recipes and ingredients that I had never considered before. I discovered the joy of fresh vegetables and lean proteins, of herbs and spices that made healthy food actually taste good. I started tracking my food intake meticulously, not as a punishment, but as a tool to understand my body's needs and patterns. The therapy sessions were crucial to my success. I delved into the root causes of my emotional eating, confronting past traumas and painful memories, learning healthier coping mechanisms for dealing with stress and sadness. It was painful, raw, and often brought me to tears, but it was also incredibly liberating and freeing. I was shedding not just physical weight, but emotional baggage that had weighed me down for decades. The first month was the hardest. I lost 15 pounds, and while that sounds like a lot, it came with a price. I was hungry constantly, irritable, and exhausted. I wanted to quit so many times. I would lie in bed at night, fantasizing about pizza and ice cream and all the foods I loved, but I kept going. Kept pushing forward, kept reminding myself why I was doing this. By the second month, things started to get easier. My body adapted to the new diet. The cravings became less intense, and I started to notice real changes. My clothes fit differently. My face looked less puffy. I had more energy. I could walk longer distances without getting winded. The weight didn't just melt off overnight like magic. There were plateaus, frustrating weeks, where the scale wouldn't budge no matter what I did. Moments of intense frustration and doubt. But I had a new mantra that kept me going. Consistency, not perfection. If I had a bad day, if I ate too much, or skipped my workout, I didn't let it derail my entire journey. I acknowledged it, learned from it, and got back on track the next day with renewed determination. I joined a support group, finding solidarity and encouragement from others who understood my struggles intimately. Their stories inspired me, and my own progress, however slow, began to inspire them in return. As the months passed, the changes became undeniable and visible to everyone around me. My clothes started to hang loosely on my frame. My face, once puffy and swollen from inflammation, began to reveal sharper contours and features I had forgotten I had. My energy levels soared to heights I hadn't experienced in years. I could walk for miles without getting winded or needing to sit down. The joint pain subsided dramatically, allowing me to move freely and without constant discomfort. My blood pressure normalized, my blood sugar stabilized, and my cholesterol levels dropped dramatically with each passing month. I started going to a gym, initially feeling self-conscious and out of place, but gradually gaining confidence as I discovered the strength my body possessed beneath the layers of fat. I even started lifting weights, something I never thought I'd be capable of doing. I could feel my muscles growing stronger, my body becoming more capable and resilient. My confidence grew with each pound lost and each new physical milestone achieved. I ran on a treadmill for the first time in years. I did a push-up. I climbed a flight of stairs without getting winded. These small victories felt monumental, like I was climbing Mount Everest one step at a time. My social life slowly began to blossom again after years of isolation. I reconnected with old friends, no longer hiding from their gaze or making excuses to avoid seeing them. I even started dating, something I hadn't done in years, feeling a newfound confidence in my own skin and in my own worth. The world, which had once seemed so hostile and judgmental, now felt open and full of possibilities and adventure. By month 6, I had lost over 100 pounds. I was halfway to my goal weight, and more importantly, I was alive. I was still here, past the 6-month mark that Dr. Evans had given me. I had defied the odds, refused to accept my fate, and fought for my life with every ounce of strength I possessed. I called Dr. Evans to schedule a follow-up appointment, and when I walked into his office, I could see the shock on his face. He had to look at his appointment book twice to make sure he had the right patient. Then came the 6-month mark, the day I had dreaded with every fiber of my being, the day that was supposed to be my end, according to Dr. Evans' prognosis. I walked into Dr. Evans' office for my follow-up appointment, a completely different woman than the one who had sat in his office 6 months earlier. I had lost over 150 pounds. My hair was shiny and healthy. My skin glowed with vitality, and there was a light in my eyes that hadn't been there in years. Dr. Evans looked at me, then at my chart, then back at me, his jaw dropping slightly in shock and disbelief. He actually had to check my name on the file to make sure he had the right patient, that this wasn't some kind of mistake or mix-up. "Sarah," he asked, his voice filled with disbelief and wonder, "is that really you? I almost didn't recognize you." I smiled. A genuine, radiant smile that reached my eyes and lit up my entire face. "It's me, doctor, and I'm still here. I'm alive." He ran a new battery of tests, his expression a mixture of awe and professional curiosity as he reviewed the results. When he returned to the room, his face was beaming with genuine happiness and pride. "Sarah," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "your heart is strong and healthy. Your liver is recovering beautifully. Your kidneys are functioning normally and properly. Your blood pressure and blood sugar are perfectly healthy. You are, by all medical accounts, a completely different person. I have never seen anything like it in my entire career. You've not only extended your life, you've reclaimed it entirely. I owe you an apology. I gave you that 6-month prognosis, expecting that it would be your wake-up call, but I never truly believed you would achieve this kind of transformation. I was wrong. and I'm grateful that I was wrong. He admitted that he had given me the 6-month prognosis not just as a medical fact, but as a shock tactic, a desperate attempt to jolt me into action and make me realize the severity of my situation. He never truly believed I would achieve such a dramatic turnaround. He said he had prepared himself for the worst, for the call that would confirm his grim prediction. But instead, he got me, a living, breathing testament to the power of human resilience and determination. He told me that he had been a cardiologist for 30 years, and in all that time, he had never seen a patient make such a dramatic recovery. He said that my story would change how he approached his patients, that he would use it as inspiration and proof that change is possible. His shock, his genuine amazement, was the greatest validation I could have ever received. It wasn't just about the weight loss anymore. It was about proving to myself and to the world that I was worth fighting for. It was about taking control of my narrative, about turning a death sentence into a second chance at life. It was about reclaiming my power and my future. I had looked death in the face and refused to blink. I had taken control of my destiny and rewritten my own story. Today, 3 years after that fateful diagnosis, I am healthier, happier, and more vibrant than I've ever been in my entire life. I continue to prioritize my health, not out of fear of dying, but out of love and respect for my body and what it has accomplished. I run marathons, I hike mountains, I travel the world. I live a life full of adventure, joy, and purpose. I share my story with anyone who will listen, hoping to inspire others who might be facing their own seemingly insurmountable challenges and obstacles. I have become a certified health coach, helping others navigate their own weight loss journeys and transformation stories. My journey was not easy. It was filled with pain, struggle, and moments of profound doubt when I wanted to give up, but it was also filled with incredible strength, unwavering determination, and ultimately, triumph over adversity. If you are struggling, if you feel like you're at your breaking point, if you feel like the world is against you, remember my story. Remember that even when the odds are stacked against you, even when a doctor tells you you have 6 months to live, you have the power within you to rewrite your own ending. You have the power to shock everyone, including yourself, with what you can achieve when you truly believe in yourself. The most important lesson I learned on this journey is that your body is not your enemy. Your body is not the problem. Your mindset is, your beliefs are, your habits are. Once you change those, your body will follow. Once you decide that you are worth fighting for, once you decide that your life has value and meaning, everything changes. The weight falls off, the energy returns, the joy comes back, but it all starts with a decision. It all starts with you deciding that enough is enough, that you deserve better, that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Don't give up. Fight for your life because it is the most precious thing you possess. Your life matters, your story matters, and your comeback will inspire countless others who are struggling just like you were. Trust me. The view from the other side, the view from a life reclaimed and reborn, is absolutely breathtaking and worth every single struggle you endured to get there. I am living proof that miracles happen, that transformations are possible, that a death sentence can become a life sentence. And if I can do it, so can you.